Good morning. I hope you had a nice gala dinner last night. I would like to thank ATI. I think it's our local host for organizing this nice dinner. I would like to thank the people of Tunisia. It's a very nice country. I'm Esmoun Sami. I'm the chair of the Finance Committee. And our responsibility is to see to the fees review. Our members are Dr. Christian Boupé, at the back. There's Alan Barrett, he's somewhere here. There's Professor Habib Youssef. Unfortunately, he had to leave earlier. And there's I, with the chair of the fees of the Finance Committee. We started a public consultation, I think it was around May, and we published a report about the fees review. So what's the fees review about? It's about a change in the fees schedule, because we've been having a fee schedule since I think several years, and as we go forward, we'll have to consider whether we should make changes to it or not. That's why we have what we call a public consultation. We got some feedback, but not much feedback, and the fees committee discussed about it and wanted to meet people, talk about it, talk about the proposal, take up your questions. I speak French, by the way, so the question can be either in English or in French, so that we can understand what you would like to see in the new fees. The fees review proposal contains several recommendations. I don't want to go through all 19 pages of it because it's going to make a long presentation. So I try to keep it short. That doesn't mean that we're not providing all the information. It's in the report. The report is public. You're welcome to read the report and ask any question at the mic now. The fees review proposal recommended a slight increase in revenue compared to what we are getting now. For example, our revenue for this year is expected to be around $5.4 million. Our expenses is around $5 million. And the approach which the board is taking is to have something which is revenue neutral, which means that we don't want to make more revenue. We are looking at our costs on one side and our expenses on our side, and we want to keep it balanced so that we can keep the organization financially sustainable. The next recommendation is about the annual fees. Currently, we have what we call a step-like structure, where we have, I think, extra small, medium, and large categories. The fees review proposal, you're looking to it, and it's proposing what we call a linear fee structure. You'll see the line, which will be the new proposal, which means that, let's say you have a /18 and you take an additional /24 IPv4. You don't jump to the next category because of that, because we have a linear structure. It's easier. It corrects some inconsistencies in our current fees. Oops. So basically, the fees for a LIR member will be, who has an IPv6/32, will be similar to the fees which a LIR member is paying for a /20 or a /21. So basically, we try to make it affordable for small and medium members, because most of the members of AFRINIC are small and medium. there was a recommendation about the fees for what we call end users. Currently, in the proposal, the LIR fees, if I compare LIR fees to end user fees, there's a ratio of 5:1 or 7:1. All this is subject to discussion, which means that if you provide input, you don't think that it's correct, talk to me, ask questions, on members discuss, and I'll try to answer your questions. Okay. Okay, I showed the slide before. It's a bit maybe confusing on a Friday to look at the slides, but basically, just look at the line. This is a principle which we are following for the fees review. In the fees review proposal, you want to ask the question now or later?
Later, after you finish.
Sorry?
After you finish, I'm just lining up on Michael.
You're lining up?
Yeah, I'm just behaving good.
Okay, I'm lining up. As part of the fees review, we have what we call the discounts. Currently, we are giving a 50% discount to educational institutions, universities in general. Why? It's because AFRINIC is a non-profit, and as part of its mission, we should support education. That's my view. I think it's the view of my colleagues, and I hope that's the view of our members as well. We're going to keep the 5% discount for early settlement. It's not going to be changed. We are going to keep the 50% discount. It's a proposal, subject to change if you want it. We're going to keep the 50% discount for non-profit, and I think we're going to extend it so that it covers non-profit organizations as well. We don't have the complete implementation details, but that's the recommendation. And we have a 100% discount for critical infrastructure. Okay, won't take more of your time. The floor is open for questions.
Luhan from Larus Cloud Service. Just a couple of questions. First of all, I don't see much in your presentation about the future plans because IPv4 is gone, right? We all know that. And V6 is not going to, let's face it, it's not going to generate us meaningful revenues for the foreseeable future. So we need to prepare that the membership growth and the fee growth as happened in past 5 to 10 years will be slowed down, and that is what we should be prepared for. And but the continent's economy is growing, and the population is growing. The need for the training and stuff like that will keep growing as well. So I think it's wise, especially when you taking such dramatic decision on fee structure change and taking into consideration how you're going to propose for the future fees. You know, it might be, in my suggestion, that it might be wise that we might have certain annual fee reviews for the budget, so we can fluctuate the fee a bit to justify the increasing, the cost for the training and stuff like that, and prepare for the exhaustion of IPv4 as well as cope with inflation. That is point one. And the point two is, end user, and I have no problem with giving discount with to academias and to non-profit organizations. I mean, they operate theoretically at least for the good of human beings, so they definitely deserve that discount. But I have a bit of problem with giving end users substantial amount of discount, even more than the non-profit organization, because end user organization can be very well be for-profit large corporations. I mean, I see no point to give them a discount. I mean, for example, if a bank using a /22 for their daily infrastructure, they count it as end user, and we just charge them 20% of fees, and that's just not working from my point of view. And
may I stop?
Yes, please.
I mean, just so that we understand each other.
Yeah.
You mentioned that end users are getting a discount. That's your point.
Well, for same size end user, as I see in presentation, let's say if you're same size /20, then end user pay 20% of the normal LIR fee, right?
Yeah, but it's
Well, then that
it's not a discount.
Okay.
I mean, it's a schedule, but it's not like it's part of a discount. Okay, the rationale, it's on page 5 of the fees proposal. It's that LIRs are subject to more stringent requirements, which means it's a little more work for it. We've been discussing it internally, and this accounts for the difference in pricing. For example, for LIR, you have to do sub-allocations. There's work in the background. So when we look at the fees, we discussed about it and we said, okay, what is the workload of AFRINIC on this stuff? And we tried to use this as a rationale to set the different ratios.
I understand your argument, but there's two things here, which number one, we don't have much of space to allocate it to first come with. I mean, we are not in a regular phases. IPv4 is almost gone. We have probably, I don't know, 0.4, 0.5 left. Stuff might clear that up. But then, so the allocation process is one-time process. Once you're done, you are done. And we are charging member a recurring subscription fee. And such subscription should, I believe, it should reflect two things. Number one, AFRINIC is a non-profit, and it's so AFRINIC is a non-profit, and it's built to provide promote internet in this particular continent, and that is mission. And with this mission, so we give academias and non-profit organizations in this continent discount to access the space, so it make easier for them to deploy their infrastructure. That making sense, right? But also with this mission that we're providing a valued service to its members. IP address has a market value. Despite it is a public resource, but it has a market value, and we are providing a valuable resource to our members, and we should be charging them a fair amount. Your argument is that the allocation taking more time. Yes, but that's one-time thing. We might add a one-time additional fee to the layers, but I don't see a point to giving a financial institution, a multi-billion-dollar bank, 80% discount for holding same size resources. If that making sense for you, sir.
Let me go with something. It's not a discount.
Yeah, I know it's not a discount, but it's like a discount for the same amount of resource they are holding.
And secondly, I think we were talking about policy yesterday. It was very interesting discussion. And we were talking about sub-assignments and all. You got to register in our database. This is part of the work which is ongoing. Okay. And usually they come to AFRINIC, from what I understand. They get some space. They don't do sub-allocations or sub-assignments. That's it. They don't need any large service. For LIRs, by its name, it's a local internet registry. It's acting as a registry, and it's doing some operations, not only once you get to the space, but it's done regularly. That's work for AFRINIC. So that's the rationale for the difference in pricing. Now, what you're proposing, if I understand, is for LIRs and end users to be at the same level in terms of pricing.
Yes, or if that what you really want to emphasize, amount of work or amount of let's say man hours we need to put with LIR is more than the average end user, we can consider a different model. We distinguish two parts of our service. Number one, which requires human intervention, and number two is the value of the resource we provide to the member. And to the latter, I believe it should be equal for the end user and for the LIRs. I don't see give a multi-billion-dollar bank more discount than a non-profit or academias. And if we really want to distinguish manpower, we can put a fee on top of that and distinguish two part of it. That is my suggestion. But of course, it's up to the board to consider it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Morning, thank you, SM. Dewale Ajao, Nigeria ICT Forum. It's rare that I will take up a discussion from where Lou stopped, but I do see some sense in what he said, and my suggestion would not be to set end users at the same kind of pricing as LIRs, but you can differentiate, you can distinguish between types of LIRs, end users. For example, if an end user is large enough to take up what's the maximum we can give out nowadays, /13 in the first phase, then it shouldn't be paying a fifth of the price that an LIR will pay for that same number of resources. So we should look at maybe graduating end users by size. With that, you might get some fairness and then some more revenue for AFRINIC to do the things that it needs to do.
May I ask you a question?
Yes, please go ahead.
We have this nice graph, which is linear now.
Okay, linear for everyone, both
Yeah.
end users and LIR.
Yeah.
So I'm saying that for end users, it would not be linear.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. First point, thank you for attempting to deal with the ASN only membership loophole, where they pay only $50 and they have the same rights as the smallest category of members, regular members. Now, as a customer, next point, I'm not really, customer in quotes, I'm not really happy that my fees might go up slightly as a result of this review, but your report says that you worked with a simulation of 2017 numbers, membership numbers to arrive at these figures.
Yeah.
What's our membership growth rate right now?
We get around 130 members a year.
So 30 out of
It's,
one.
1,640 or something.
Okay, so that's
Around 8%.
8%.
Yeah, I think
Good. So the membership growth exceeds the 3 to 5% that you're looking at on top of the revenue. So by the time you're implementing this, is it possible, question, is it possible that these fees would have come down?
You mean
If you were to work with a 2018 simulation, by the time you're putting this in place, is it possible that we'll see these numbers come down, or would you stick with the 2017 simulation numbers?
we're going to get more numbers this year.
Mm-hmm.
This is a simulation. I'm not saying, as I said, it's a proposal. I understand what you mean. I think what you're saying is that AFRINIC might get a little more revenue, and what will we do with it?
Which leads to my next question.
Yeah.
What are we doing right now with the revenue that we have? Is it, or that comes in, is it enough for the work that we are doing? Are you looking to get money from other sources? That's the work that AFRINIC does across the continent.
Okay, currently, it's not supposed to be a discussion about revenue, but I'll give you the figures anyway.
Okay.
It's out of scope. I think Alain, if Alain was here, would say it's out of scope because the PDP says stuff like this. 95 or a bit more than 95% of our revenue is from membership fees. That's the numbers which we have now. And we have a 5 million operating budget for total expenses. We have slightly around half of this budget goes to human resources costs. We have training, we have these meetings and such. These are the costs. Okay, we publish the figures on the website. We publish quarterly finance reports so that you have a view of how your money is being spent. Okay, if we get more revenue, naturally we have to see what to do with the fees. Should we try to make the fees go down? It's possible. It might be possible to do it if that's what the members want.
Okay.
So you want the fees to go down?
That'd be nice.
By how much?
I don't know. Because really work has to be done. So we should get that work done. We shouldn't say because we want to reduce the fees that AFRINIC stops doing development work across the continent or the region.
Do you support spending money on training, education for our region, the community stuff?
Yes, I do. but we should measure properly what the impact is of the spending. We shouldn't spend money just because we need to allocate money to these things, but we should actually get, the teams do try, they give the feedback, but we should try and see how much more we can stretch that money for better results. I'll leave the mic now. Or you have a question for me?
No, I'm fine. I'm not supposed to ask you questions.
But you were asking me questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, sorry.
Merci beaucoup. Je pense que
The question of the presidency is very important. We can elaborate until the strategy is good, but what's missing is the fuse review. It can be interesting, similar to the graphs that show the growth in terms of figures. You can give us an extract of a management plan and the way in the future, since we have the intention to increase the fees, we can have an idea about how to also, instead of increasing the fees only, you can also increase the scope. Just to clarify, we are not trying to increase the registration or membership fees. This is not our objective. Our objective is to have what is called a revenue neutral approach to the fees. The fees reviews doesn't say that we have the intention to increase the membership fees. Please, I refer you to visit the website and focus on the reports. For a member who has a /IPv6, the fees will decrease with the new proposal. My last question would be, eventually within those simulation, we think that we have a margin of member collection, and allow me if I'm not using the right word. He says, can you give me a percentage, please? Do you mean our prospections? Yes. Based on the figures, we have 8% annually. Yes, these are statistics. What about the future? We can reach a critical threshold, and we may be threatened by decreasing. Okay, what is your suggestion, sir? That the study or the simulation shall focus deeply on this to have a real strategic perspectives for the future. This is a crucial element. Thank you.
Sorry, SM Madhvi, for the record. I missed the first slides. So, is your presentation based on the first version of the fees revision document that was published on the mailing list?
This, the recommendations which you're seeing on the screen are based on the report which was done by the fees review committee. It's the one from May 2018.
Okay. Because when you go to the slides regarding the discounts, we do not see, we only see the current discounts that are usually, that is usually provided by AFRINIC, except for the 25% for the profit for for-profit educational organizations. I have a question regarding community networks, for example. There are organizations that do a great job in connecting people to the internet. Are they, or has the board thought about giving them discounts?
Had an interesting discussion on the community mailing list about community networks. It's not in the current proposal.
Okay.
But the board will think about it because we got the feedback from our community and from members. And I won't say, I can't commit to anything now, but we're going to take it into account if that's what people would like to see. Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
So Amitin, I'm speaking on my own name. So for your simulation for next year, 2019, right? Do you take into account ISPs that are closing down? For example, in Mauritius, there's an ISP that's going to closing down, and barely another one is not opening up.
Yeah, and the question is, it's two ISPs.
Did you take into consideration ISPs that are closing down? Because on your simulation for 2019, it should be relevant.
If an ISP is closing down, the space gets back into the pool, from what I understand. I think Aaron can correct me. And some other member can go through the process, these spaces, to get the space. So in terms of revenue, I don't think it's a significant issue.
Ok, bonjour. Donc, si je regarde, je pense...
With regard to the recommendations, please go back to the slide. Annual fees should be calculated from the exact amount of each member's IPv4, IPv6 and ASN holdings. My question, and correct me if I'm wrong, are you going to calculate the fees based on consumption? The answer is yes. Well, sir, I'm afraid that this recommendation will affect the price and tariffs of SP at the local scale. The end user will be considerably impacted. Do you agree? Well, we have provided a discount for IPv6. It's 100% when we have mentioned future plans, and we know that there won't be a lot of IPv4. And as financial committee, we're here to manage everything in order to make everything financially sustainable. In fact, we have a combination that calculates the cost of IPv4, IPv6 and ASN. We're going to take the maximum of those three in order to calculate your membership fee, annual membership fees. This is in order to ensure sustainability of the organization and avoid a revenue decline or decrease. For that, annual fees shall be calculated from the exact amount, and this graph shows that a straight line, which means what I just said. Did I answer your question? I am Abdel Hakim Shattawi from Siseka, Tunisia. I am with the fees added to IPv6 because some countries have used a lot of resources of PVCs without really using them, or these resources. But I hope it will not affect people who have adopted PVC. So my suggestion, please conduct the right calculations. I mean by that, when you have the resources, make sure to use those resources, otherwise it will be a loss of money. This is a recommendation. I repeat, I want the right calculation of IPv6, not to destroy the end user.
C'est assez grand et similaire à ce que le membre paye pour un /20 ou un /21. Ça veut dire que c'est pas quelque chose. On veut pas que ça soit élevé. Pourquoi? Parce que on veut pas créer sur.
We don't want to create a decent incentive for people to move from IPv4 to IPv6 by increasing the fees. So we're making sure to conduct the right calculations. I think I've answered all the questions. Thank you.